My name is Samuel. I am 80 years old. Most mornings I sit in this velvet armchair, watching the dust motes dance in the light of the Arizona sun. The house is too quiet. It's a silence that has a weight to it, a weight built from decades of memories, of laughter that has long since faded into the wallpaper. Beside my foot, there's a tiny heartbeat. His name is Bullet. He's a Chihuahua, no bigger than a loaf of bread, with ears that stand up like radar dishes and eyes that seem to hold all the secrets I've forgotten. People laugh when they see us, a weathered old man with a cane and a dog that could fit in his coat pocket. But they don't see what I see. They don't know that this tiny creature is the only thing keeping my soul anchored to this earth. My children live in Florida and Texas. They have their own lives, their own storms to weather. My wife, Sarah, has been gone for 5 years. In the quiet, Bullet is my navigator. And as we sit here, I often find my mind drifting back to a time when the world was much louder and I was much faster. I was 16 when I lied about my age to join the army. It was a different America then. I wanted to serve. I wanted to be part of something larger than my small-town dreams. By 20, I was a pilot. Oh, the feeling of leaving the earth behind. At 20, you feel immortal. When you're in the cockpit of a fighter jet, the clouds are your playground, and the horizon is just a suggestion. I remember the smell of jet fuel and the vibration of the engine in my bones. I was a king in the sky. I met Sarah at a USO dance. She wore a yellow dress and smelled like lilies. I promised her I'd always come back to her, and for a long time I did. But the sky is a jealous mistress. During a mission over a territory I'm still not allowed to name, the engine coughed, then screamed, then died. I remember the cockpit filling with smoke. I remember the frantic struggle with the controls. The last thing I saw before the world turned black was the green canopy of trees rushing up to meet me. I survived, but the man who walked into that cockpit never came back. I woke up in a hospital bed with legs that refused to feel the floor. At 24, I was a pilot who would never fly again. I was a man who had to learn to live in the shadows of the earth. The years that followed were a slow march. I married Sarah. She stayed by me through the surgeries, the phantom pains, and the dark months when I sat in my wheelchair staring at the sky. We had children. I watched them grow from my seat, cheering at their baseball games and crying at their weddings. But then the house began to empty. The kids moved away for work, for love, for life. Then Sarah, my Sarah, she grew tired. One night she just closed her eyes and went to join the stars. That was when the darkness really moved in. One afternoon, my youngest daughter brought me a cardboard box. Inside was a trembling, big-eyed puppy. "He's too small, Dad," she said, "but he's got a big spirit, just like you." I named him Bullet, a reminder of the speed I once had. He didn't care that I limped or that I sometimes forgot what day it was. He just wanted to be near me. He became my family. Every evening we have our ritual. A slow walk down the service road near the old drainage canal. It's our last mission of the day. It was a Tuesday, a day of gray clouds and biting wind. I was leaning heavily on my cane, Bullet trotting beside me on his leash. We were near the edge of the road, where the storm drains are deep and hidden by overgrown brush. I didn't see the missing grate. I didn't see the trap. One moment I was breathing the cool air, the next moment the ground vanished. I fell. It wasn't a long fall, but for an 80-year-old man with bad legs, it was an abyss. I hit the bottom of the concrete culvert with a thud that knocked the wind from my lungs. My cane snapped. My hip shrieked in pain. I tried to shout, but my voice was a thin rasp. I was trapped in a cold concrete hole, hidden from the road by the bushes. Bullet was above, peering down through the opening. He was whining, his tiny paws scratching at the asphalt. "Go home, Bullet," I gasped. "Go get help." But he just stood there, his ears twitching. I realized then that if he stayed here, we would both be forgotten. The sun was going down. The Arizona desert gets cold fast. I felt a chill in my bones that felt like the end. Bullet didn't leave because he was scared. He left because he understood. From the bottom of that dark hole, I heard his tiny claws clicking away on the pavement. Bullet ran. He has 6 pounds of fur and heart. He ran to the nearest house, 300 yards away. He began to bark, not his usual "I want a treat" bark, but a sharp, rhythmic alarm. He scratched at the door of the Miller family. They were watching TV. They ignored him at first. He didn't stop. He ran to the window, jumping against the glass. When Mr. Miller finally opened the door to shoo him away, Bullet didn't run away. He barked, ran toward the road, looked back and barked again. He did this over and over. He went to the neighbor's house, doing the same. He was a tiny, frantic blur in the twilight. Finally, Mr. Miller and a young man from across the street realized something was wrong. "That's Sam's dog," I heard one of them say. "Where's Sam?" Bullet led them. He ran ahead, stopping every few feet to make sure they were following. He led them exactly to the brush-covered hole. He stood at the edge and let out a howl that sounded like a siren. I remember the beam of a flashlight hitting my face. I remember the voices, warm, human voices, shouting that they found me. It took the paramedics 20 minutes to get me out. My hip was broken, and I was shivering, but I was alive. As they strapped me onto the gurney, I saw a tiny shadow darting between the legs of the rescuers. It was Bullet. He was covered in burrs and dust. His little chest was heaving from the miles he had run. Before they loaded me into the ambulance, I beckoned to the paramedic. "My dog," I whispered. "Please." They lifted Bullet up and placed him on my chest. I wrapped my weathered, trembling arms around him. I buried my face in his soft fur. I didn't care about the pain in my hip or the cold in my blood. I just held him. I felt his tiny heart beating against mine, fast, strong, and brave. A 6-pound hero who had flown a rescue mission more important than any I had ever flown in the sky. "Thank you, partner," I sobbed into his ear. "Thank you for coming back for me." Bullet licked the salt from my cheek and let out a soft sigh. He stayed in the ambulance with me all the way to the hospital. Today, we are back in our armchair. I have a new hip, and he has a new collar with a gold tag that says Hero. People still laugh when they see us. They see a broken old man and a tiny dog, but I know the truth. I am a pilot who finally found his greatest wingman. And as long as that tiny heart is beating next to mine, I am never, ever alone. Be well, my friends, and remember, never measure a soul by its size. Goodbye from the porch.